Hello, and welcome to an online tutorial about using StoryBird to write narratives. My name is Kathy Marks, and it's the summer of 2013. Do you ever have problems when teaching writing? Sometimes I have problems with student interest and motivation. Many students are turned off by writing and are hard to get interested. They may be frustrated with it or just bored. Often students get stuck when trying to get started. They also work in isolation. Although writing is a form of communication, and communication tends to be social, students are often isolated when they're working on their written pieces in the classroom. My solution? Use StoryBird at storybird.com. This is a Web 2.0 tool where students create stories using self-selected illustrations that inspire creativity. Why it works. You start with all kinds of art images and search for just the right one to get your story going. Students have to think critically and creatively to build their story using other related images that don't always match. Using the art in StoryBird means not having to start from scratch, which makes it easier to get started. It also opens up possibilities they may not have thought about otherwise. Students also become engaged immediately when looking through the available art and thinking about what each picture could be about. Students can communicate and collaborate with each other by working on stories together or providing feedback through the site's comment feature. Teachers can guide the process this way as well. Students can publish their stories from the class, or for the world when they're finished. What a proud moment. Now, technology is an important piece of this, and it's embedded throughout. Technology is inherently interesting and motivational for students. Students can choose from hundreds of art illustrations to get started on a story. And this is much more fun than just trying to think of an idea out of your head. Using a computer and internet is also more fun than work. All of that is motivation. Collaboration and feedback is easy and not limited by location. And the finished product is a virtual book that students can share with each other or anyone in the world, no matter where they are. I implemented this with 4 third grade students for about 2 hours total. We reviewed narrative writing and I showed them how to use StoryBird. Then, working in pairs, they chose a starting illustration and built their story around it and other related images that StoryBird provided. Then the students continued their collaboration with editing and revising. After publishing their virtual narrative books, they read each other's stories and commented on them. The results of this lesson were very favorable. The students collaborated on creating stories as well as improving them grammatically and as a piece of narrative writing. They were engaged the whole time and excited to be using technology in the learning process. They received meets or exceed scores on all their categories, and that shows their hard work, learning, and interest in the activity. And it was easy to show the students how to make improvements with their books and brainstorm the details they could add. So let's take a tour of StoryBird. This is the first page you would see when you click onto the page and once you've signed in. So you'd have to create a free account. So let's say we want to create a story. All we do is hit create. That was easy. Now we have tons and tons and tons of images to choose from to get our story started. If your students are looking for something specific or they're having trouble finding something because there's too many, there's some tags on the side that you can look at and click on to find out to find a certain category. Let's say I want to use this one. So now I'm going to click use this art for a story. So there's my first page. You can see the thumbnails at the bottom, and I have a cover, and then I need to write a title. But I'm not sure what my title is going to be yet, so I'm going to go back to my other pages and I'm going to think, what can I do with this? Now, StoryBird has already provided lots of other images that are related or maybe by the same illustrator, and some don't really match. Some of these may be the same style, but they don't really match. There are some letter ones. There's more of the red and. This one's completely different. So you have your students look around and find what they need, but this is where the critical thinking comes in, where they really have to think about, what's my story going to be about? So I lost my first picture. So I'm just going to put a picture in, and then you can adjust it. You're supposed to be able to adjust it. So you can add in some text. And you can put it on one side or the other. And then you would write in your text. So N is having a naughty day. And then we want to create a new page and put a new scene or character or whatever you'd like. Maybe we should stick with the letter theme. And again, you can move your page around and then you just add your text. M is, and then you would write whatever. Save it at the bottom. Then go to menu at the bottom. You can invite a collaborator to work with you to work on your story. That could be you as a teacher or another student. Or you can just go ahead and publish it. So whatever works. Oh, they want me to have a title. Now I can publish. I can write a summary, 1 or 2 sentences about what it's about, pick a category, write some tags so that if someone searches, they'll find it, who it's for, and then if it's for an assignment, which I'll show you in a minute, creative and narrative piece, I could put that in and publish. Now anybody can read it in my class, and then they can add a comment at the bottom for any feedback they want to give. Now as a teacher, you'd have a class and you could see the assignments you made as well as your class library and your students. So my assignment was to create a narrative piece with a partner, make sure it had descriptive details in a logical sequence, and at least 5 pages of StoryBird. Then you can see what was submitted, those 3. So here's one of the students' books. So they wrote their text in with the pictures, and then the other students commented on it. And this was the other student pair. And they had a really good time with this, and some more comments. All right, the lessons I learned from this. A bigger group or class, besides the 4 that I use, are probably going to need some more orientation time with StoryBird. It's not bad as soon as you get started, but it takes a minute to figure out. My suggestion is to create a narrative story using the tool with the group together in the computer lab with you so that they can see how it works. Now, students may have some trouble choosing the illustrative art that they want to use to get started. There's a lot in there. It may be hard for them to choose, or they might be looking for something specific. So as a teacher, help them narrow down their choices or use the tags on the side to see if they can find what they want. Students may want to start over. They may choose some of the art and may decide, I don't really like the rest of these images. I want to start over and do a different story. So they can do that, but they have to create a new book, and they can come back to the first one later, or they could just delete it. Lastly, I want to make sure that you model appropriate commenting and make sure that your students are being constructive and not just saying, oh, I like that. That was really cool. So there's definitely some lessons learned. Thank you very much for listening to my tutorial. Have a great day.